Hi, it's the Child Free by Choice lady who made a video all about the reasons I don't tell people why my husband and I are child free by choice. Back to tell you why we are child free by choice. After reading so many comments, it became really apparent that it might serve a lot of people really well who are seeking some support or validation in their decision, or who want some more insight from the couple who has chosen to be child-free so that you can make a more informed decision. And I'm doing this regardless of knowing that there are some parents out here who might feel like this is a personal affront or that they have to justify why they had children, neither of which are the case. And I will try to keep this as concise as possible, but like I said in my previous video, this is years and years of discussion between my partner and I of 14 years. So why don't we just start off strong with the one that probably upsets the most people, and that is that having children is an innately selfish act. And because I don't have that biologically predisposed desire to have children, when I'm searching for answers as to why people have kids or why I should have kids, that's all I see. That there is no reasoning behind having children that is not ultimately self-serving. Even if you think that reason is to give your child the childhood that you never had, they didn't ask to be brought here to reconcile your parents' shortcomings. Simply put, we're all looking for fulfillment here. That's our nature as human beings, but not all of us want to do that through childbearing and child rearing. Before anyone gets too mad, on the flip side of that, the act of parenting is wholly selfless. As my husband and I got older and we took stock of what we wanted our lives to look like, we quickly realized that we weren't selfless enough to give up our dreams in order to have children. This isn't always the case, but it was for us. We had to choose one or the other, have children or continue traveling, seeing the world, and achieving our dreams. And I know it's the case for a lot of you, at least while your kids are living at home, and we weren't really willing to run the risk of maybe, hopefully someday fulfilling those dreams when we were older. Which brings me to my next point, that we did not want to be parents badly enough to potentially be forever parents. I do hope that this is something everyone's considering when they're having kids, that what you think might be an 18 or 20-year commitment could potentially be much longer if you have a child with special needs. A lot of folks talked about climate change in my previous post, which is a huge factor for us. It's really hard to grapple with the ethics of bringing a child onto a burning planet. I do think this one is a little bit hard for some folks sometimes, but we do not feel unfulfilled or that we are missing something in any way. I feel so lucky to have the most healthy, loving, and supportive relationship with my husband, and our relationship is the most precious thing in the world to both of us. Quite simply, there's nothing that matters more than the health and well-being of our relationship to one another. So throwing an unknown, unpredictable factor into that dynamic just didn't seem entirely worth it to us, especially when we have seen really strong relationships torn apart by the loss of a child or just the hardships that come with parenting and all the changes that come along with it. We know that there's a lot of people who feel so much closer to their partner after having kids, but we also know that in some cases a lot of resentment builds when one partner's life changes so much more drastically than the others, which would likely be our case. Next up. We know that living far away from both of our families and the towns that we grew up in mean that our child probably doesn't have the village that it would deserve. If we're being really honest with ourselves, which we should be in this process,